Stephen Colbert's last show is tonight. The Late Show, which has been an institution in American entertainment for decades, has been canceled thanks to the MAGA takeover over at CBS. Our president, it is no secret, is not now, nor has he ever been, a fan of Stephen Colbert's. And because we now live under light fascism, that means that Colbert no longer gets to have a show. So first, does the president have any parting words for Stephen Colbert?
Stephen Colbert's last show tomorrow night. What's your message to him, the late night host Stephen Colbert? It's his last show after him being such a staunch critic of yours. What's your message?
I'll have a message at a later date. Okay.
We're all waiting at the edges of our seat. Just a reminder that the announcement that The Late Show would be canceled came just after Paramount, the CBS parent company, paid over $16 million in its settlement with Trump. And if you'll recall, Trump sued CBS and Paramount because he said the show, 60 Minutes, made Kamala Harris look better than she actually was to help her win the 2024 election. So the optics of it really looked like The Late Show was a bargaining chip in the settlement. Colbert has never hesitated to criticize the president. In fact, none of the late night hosts seem to be fans of his, which is why he's always fighting them on social media. Some of them are more outspoken than others. Jimmy Kimmel, for example, is constantly fighting for his life, and he was even canceled once himself for speaking out against the president and first lady. The inciting incident, the joke that got him canceled, was not even that bad. So it was clear that the administration was simply throwing its weight around getting Kimmel off the air. It was such an overstated display of authoritarianism that it really shook the nation. It demonstrated that the administration had systematically wrangled control in some way or other of our media ecosystem.
And President Trump is winning. Look at the results so far. PBS defunded, NPR defunded, Joy Reid gone from MSNBC, Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd gone, Jim Acosta gone, John Dickerson gone, Colbert is leaving, CBS is under new ownership, and soon enough, CNN is going to have new ownership as well.
Kimmel was only reinstated after major consumer backlash. Everyone canceled their Hulu and Disney Plus subscriptions in retaliation for taking Kimmel off the air. Seth Meyers never has anything good to say about Trump, and the local lore is that he is the reason why Trump is president today. Seth was the featured comedian at the White House Correspondents' Dinner the year Trump attended. Between Seth Meyers and Obama, Trump got roasted so hard that he then revenge ran for president. Jimmy Fallon is more tame, and people probably don't take him as seriously as the others. He's the goofiest of the late night hosts, and he has caught a lot of backlash in the past, especially that one time when he ruffled Trump's hair during the first presidential campaign. Fallon was accused of attempting to humanize such a horrible person, but it is clear that Fallon does not like or support the president. John Oliver isn't on cable television, but he is on HBO, which is now owned by Warner Brothers and Paramount following a major network merger. His entire show is overtly political. He doesn't have guests or anything like that. And with that, he is often criticizing Trump and his administration, if not directly, then indirectly. Trump hasn't seemed to pay him much mind, though, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe he just doesn't get HBO in the White House. And an honorable mention, there is Conan O'Brien. Conan doesn't speak much about Trump directly, but when he does, it's clear that he's not a fan of his. Conan was the last comedian to receive the Mark Twain Award at the Kennedy Center prior to the Trump takeover of the Kennedy Center, and he spoke out against the administration and its overreaches into the arts, comedy, and free speech. And this is a personal anecdote, but I got to ask Conan a question once at a Q&A. It was when Conan went to Greenland, and the shtick was that he went to Greenland to broker the real estate deal on behalf of Trump in the United States, because that was the first time that Trump had mentioned that he wanted to buy Greenland. And it was so preposterous that Conan says, I'm going to go to Greenland. So my question to Conan was that Trump had gone after many of his colleagues for criticizing him, but he had left Conan alone for the most part. So was Conan expecting to get a response from Trump with his trip to Greenland, or was the goal to step deeper into the political fray? And y'all, he gave me a very long and thoughtful response, but I don't really remember what he said. I am not one to really get starstruck, but the only celebrity that I think I care about is Conan. So I'm lucky I got my question out at all. I think he basically said something about how it is necessary to provide commentary and context in troubled times, even if the way you do that is through comedy. He said it was not his intention to provoke Trump, but if he did upset the president, then so be it. But in Colbert's final week on air, he had a parade of celebrities turn up at the Ed Sullivan Theater, showing their support not just for him, but for The Late Show, and really for freedom of press and speech. His late night colleagues also turned up one night, and it is very rare for them to do this because they all have their own shows to do, but they made it work somehow. A few of them had some things to say about the cancellation of the show as well. "I'm heartbroken," Seth Meyers told Deadline in Madrid on Wednesday. "It's very sad to lose a colleague and even sadder to lose a time slot. It would be one thing if Stephen was leaving and a younger person was getting a chance to have one of these jobs that are, as someone who's experienced it, so exciting to have. So just in general, I think it's a very sad week for television in America." And here's what Jimmy Kimmel had to say. "I think you know how I feel about the fact that the crew of The Late Show are being pushed out. I hope the people who did the pushing feel ashamed of themselves tonight, although I know they probably won't." And he told his viewers, "I hope that those of you who watch our show will also tune in to CBS for the last time. Don't ever watch it again, but watch tomorrow night to wish Stephen and our friends at The Late Show a fond farewell." Jon Stewart, the host of The Daily Show and Stephen's old boss, had this to say. He trashed CBS on Colbert's show on Tuesday, joking that he thought it was so smart what CBS is doing. He joked further, "I just think it's such a good move to take this show off the air and then to also ruin your evening news and then reduce 60 Minutes to like 6 good ones. I think that's so smart." Even Bruce Springsteen, who performed on the show earlier this week, made a comment. "I am here tonight in support of Stephen because you're the first guy in America who's lost his show because we've got a president who can't take a joke. And because Larry and David Ellison feel the need to kiss his butt to get what they want. Stephen, these are small-minded people who've got no idea what the freedoms of this beautiful country are supposed to be about. This is for you." Obviously, the story is much bigger than Stephen Colbert. It's not about whether or not you like him. It's not about ratings. It's not even about whether or not these late night shows are relevant anymore. It's about why Colbert was taken off the air and why The Late Show was canceled altogether. It's about the magnification of CBS. It's about all of the media monopolies that have been allowed to form under this administration. It's about the right-wing Trump donors and billionaires who now run our entire media ecosystem. This is about the policing of speech in this country. It's about our right as citizens to criticize our government and our leaders. We are supposed to be able to do that. When they come for our art and our entertainment, they are coming not just for our happiness, but for our culture, for the few remaining vestiges of community and monoculture that we have in this country, in this modern era. When they profess to be saviors of free speech while actively silencing opposition wherever they hear it, they are reminding you that you should be afraid of them always because they are listening always. When they first started demonizing books in schools under the guise of protecting the children, some of us may have said at the time that this was not a subtle, slippery slope towards limiting people's beliefs and their scope of the world. Couple this with the defunding of education across the country and the takeover of the Kennedy Center and even the destruction of the White House East Wing and the paving over of the historic Rose Garden, and you get a nation that does not value or reward beauty, art, literature, or any of the things that come from the study of the humanities, things like empathy and insight and creative, critical thinking. I don't know about you, but I do not want to live in a world where ignorance is the baseline, where literacy is waning, where thought is optional, and I don't want to live in a dry, ugly world devoid of happiness, laughter, beauty, and color. And honestly, I don't want the world that they're building for us, and I really don't think any of you do either. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.